Welcome everybody, this is Dr. Kevin Christie and this is June of Boca Raton Triathletes. Today's episode on injury prevention for runners and triathletes is going to really dive into the benefits of joining a group and having a group to train with and the resources that they provide to help with injury prevention. So far we've this month discussed shoe basics, we've also discussed corrective exercises and performance training, and then next week we're going to have a radiologist on and we're going to discuss some of the injuries that we see in the lower leg with that. So, but for this episode, really is kind of near and dear to my heart. You know, Boca Raton Triathletes has been kind enough to be interviewed this week, and they've been an integral part in the community with a lot of endurance athletes, and I've been able to utilize their network a lot to refer some of my patients to for injury type of things. And I know without diving too deep into that right now, you were just telling me a little story about how you might have had a bike issue, but you know there's a resource that the group provides that you're going to be able to check out and get that going. So yeah, give us a little bit of that story that you told us.
So about a month ago, I actually did Philadelphia Triathlon, and I used a bike that wasn't properly fitted for me, and I know that was probably a really bad idea. I didn't expect that race to have such big hills, and I think I strained my knee pretty bad. So yeah, that was not a good idea.
So what's going to be your next step?
So my next step is I'm actually going to go see a friend of mine who happens to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then once I have that, then I know that I could come here to see you for therapy, and there's a lot of great resources that we have available to us because of the group.
What's one of the resources that Boca Raton Triathletes has that you're going to be able to utilize to essentially, I guess, get your bike fit checked?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, I like to go see Tune Cycle.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
They're great folks. They're one of our sponsors at BRT as well, and they do a great job of really getting all the tweaks on the bike, and you know, they take care of you over time. You know, and things change.
Yep.
You know, your training changes, the way that you ride changes, your body structure changes. So they understand all of that. So you know, they expect to see us every once in a while. It's not just a one-time thing.
Absolutely, and that's been my experience overall. Is there's many good bike fitting stores that are associated with BRT. There's many good running coaches, swimming coaches, injury prevention specialists. It just seems like there's a plethora of resources. One of the things we see that causes injury a lot as well is some of the too much too soon and not having enough understanding of proper training. You know, whether you're training for a marathon or a half Ironman or a full Ironman or a sprint, there's definitely different programs you need to follow, and when you don't have that group resource, it can be a problem. So if you're speaking to someone that has not gotten into triathlons or running or is early on, what are some of the benefits that you've seen by joining a group such as BRT?
Actually, I was one of the people who helped started this Women for Tri program. Yeah, where we have women who've never done triathlon before come and join our group and learn about what it takes to be a triathlete. So we have training programs that we put into place. We have everything from, well, obviously swim, bike, run, understanding what it takes to do those disciplines within the sport, because it is one sport. And the most important thing is that we have very knowledgeable, educated, you know, triathlon coaches in all those disciplines, which is really important because they keep up with the times and the technology and the schooling that's happening. Things change all the time, just like technology changes, the way that we do things, the training programs, and what areas are important to concentrate on, and our coaches really understand what's required. And then as well, we have all of us who are, you know, really well seasoned athletes to, you know, a couple of years in and so forth, and we've gone through things as well. So we've had, you know, problems maybe when we first started. Maybe we started too hard. Maybe we started like, we felt so good that we just wanted to do more and more.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But we have to listen to our, you know, our professionals.
Yeah, you do, and sometimes you fall into that, you get a little bit complacent. You know, everything's going good if you're training by yourself, and maybe just one friend or something like that, and you're training, everything's going good, and you pick it up a little bit too much, and then all of a sudden you get injured. And a lot of times I see too often without a support system, they just kind of, all right, well, I'm not going to do this race, or they don't have the understanding of or the experience. Okay, you can work through this. You know, I've had this experience to where I had to take 3 weeks off, but I got treated, got back into training. I had someone in the group kind of guide me as far as where they're at. You know, there's a lot of different variables that go into, unfortunately, getting injured preventing injury, or then if you do get injured, getting back onto the training program without re-injuring. And I think that's some of the resources that I see in these group settings.
And also really great is within our group we have, well, the neat thing about triathletes in general as well is that we like to share our experiences and we like to encourage others to join, and it's a very open community. And what I like about Boca Raton Triathletes is we have so many people. We have over 400 people in our group, and we have lots of little groups that have formed depending on location or you know, ability levels and things like that. So when you have that social community that Boca Raton Triathletes brings, it helps you to continue on. It's a part of the lifestyle, but at the same time, sometimes you need that encouragement and you need the support. So that's what I really like about our group.
You know, I work with a lot of professional athletes in different sports, and sometimes when they suffer an injury, having that team around them and they'll usually bond with a few players that will help get them to that injury. And some of these, you know, athletes will suffer an ACL tear and they'll be out for the year, and it can be very lonely and frustrating and even depressing. And one of the things I've noticed with working with a lot of runners and triathletes is if they can't train, they can get pretty down and depressing. And so sometimes just having that support system really helps with that bouncing back from the injury that I've seen with large running and triathlon groups. As far as, you know, you'll form little, like you said, groups, subgroups within, but then you have that person that can really get you through that injury from an emotional and motivational and antidepressant type standpoint naturally. And so that's some things that I've seen as well. Do you have any good stories on that, as far as whether it's yourself or other, you don't have to name other people, but just that camaraderie that can come from a group?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. So last season, actually, I was training for an Ironman, and it was for North Carolina.
Okay.
Now, I was going through a lot of work. I had a lot of stress. I knew what the cause was, but no kidding, I pulled something in my back. A week before the race, I am laying on the floor going, I cannot believe this is happening to me. It was the worst thing. I'd been training all year. I mean, I train all the time, but I really was concentrating on this race. So here I am laying on my back, and I decided I'd tell some of my friends. And I said, look, I'm not going to be able to do this race. And they were so encouraging. He says, you know what, you'll be able to do another one. It's not a problem. You know, take care of yourself, take care of that back, and you know, you'll get through this. As I'm lying there and dying. But I did. I got through it, and I decided to do another one this year. So the group dynamics with all the support and positive energy, it's key. It's key to longevity in the sport.
And I think someone giving you that advice, I think having people that have gone through that, it decreases the chances of you just withdrawing from that race, and frankly just withdrawing from the sport completely. It gets you back onto a path to get into a race and have that support system. So that's a good story. And I see that a lot. You know, I've over my 11 years, I've worked with a lot of runners and triathletes and a lot of groups. When I was down in more in like Broward County, I worked with a lot of running groups. And one of the things that I really liked about the groups is the different clinics. And I know, and we'll kind of wrap up with that, but I know I've done a lot of the clinics for the group, but I know there's been bike fitting clinics and shoe clinics and all kinds of different motivational clinics. I think that's one of the things that Boca Raton Triathletes does an amazing job of, as far as having the educational. One of the biggest things that I talk about whenever I discuss injury prevention in group setting, whether it's golf, runners, anything, is understanding how injuries occur. Once you can understand them, then you can have a guide that will get you to help prevent them. Now, with running and triathlons, you could have the perfect body, the perfect everything. There's still a chance of injury, but you're going to really decrease that risk, and again, you're going to bounce back quicker. And so education is a big part of it, and I think that is one of the huge key ingredients, in addition to the resources that a group offers, to help get you through this and prevent some of the injuries.
I agree, yes. And so from the Boca Raton Triathletes, we're actually we have another group that's forming again for the fourth. It's our fourth one.
Fourth one?
Yep.
All right.
And we'll have brand new women join us again. Perfect. We got another grant from Ironman for this. Yep. And we'll do another round of right from the beginning, from learning how to swim if you need to understanding biking and running and that injury prevention.
Yeah, and that kind of lends itself to what you said earlier, subgroups. You know, like you've got Boca Raton Triathletes, which is men and women, and you got high level, middle, beginners. It's all like these different groups that can really help out, so no one gets left behind. And then now there's the initiative to get more women into the sport, which is always going to be very beneficial. So
it is,
kind of lends itself to that.
Yep, so we're starting it up again.
All right. Well, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section on injury prevention for runners and triathletes. You can contact Boca Raton Triathletes as well. And have a great week and keep training.